for appearing, both tree commission people and Mr. Sandlin and Mr. Ricker from the Power Board. And I think we have a guest. Just a few words to start us. As the Power Board already knows, we haven't been real happy. And we've been talking with each other, with other people. We've had a brief meeting talking, and pretty much the gist of it is that it's already happened. We need to go forward. And I think Mr. Sandlin's probably going to talk to us a little bit about what he wants us to do. And I will tell you in the meantime that I know from the general talking, nothing has been voted on, but there is a statement that we're trying to make, and we have not passed it. It's just been written and may be changed. In general, I would say that the committee or the commission is likely to want to help you with the tree, picking out the trees and doing all that. They are very reluctant about being a part of deciding who would be the memorial tree or the honor tree. We've all been talking with each other. We all have had hundreds of phone calls, everything. And so we're just trying now to get it together and move ahead, which is what I'm sure that you would like to do. So we would be open for you to go ahead and do the meeting.
On behalf of the Power Board, we, in no way did we ever want to go about some exercise in trimming trees or cutting trees to make anybody mad. I think there's some pretty good examples of them. We have about 96% of our system is overhead lines, and they are on the public right-of-ways, which is just a fancy way of saying the streets. We would like to work with the Tree Commission and the Board of Education, Dr. Berry, to replace the trees in that area. In fact, we've had several programs through the years. Done a lot of work with trees and working with customers. We have several programs that we're trying to implement, but we also need your help, and we also need cooperation of some agencies. So I mentioned that 2 or 3 times along the way. In 2004, I began an analysis and review of our distribution system's reliability and ability to respond after a significant emergency. Formerly, I had focused on only distribution system maintenance and simple per-site outage mitigation technologies. An analysis of system reliability and recovery must entail analysis of all major systems that are in place. Specifically, a distribution utility like Scottsboro Power Board must review the reliability of its wholesale provider, TVA, its connections to the TVA transmission system, our internal sub-transmission system, and distribution substations, feeder design and use, service facilities connected to individual end customers. That's you where you live if you live in Scottsboro. We identified first, second, and third order contingencies and projects to ensure SEPB will have the capability to serve as many customers as possible in almost every conceivable situation. So, as I mentioned, the 13,000 volt lines, that's what's out here on Broad Street in the front. Now in the back, there's another 13,000 volt line, but on the top of that section of poles, there's a 46,000 volt, oscillating at 60 cycles a second. So anyway, when a fault occurs at different locations in the system, it can affect industries. In fact, we had a fault, a large limb. It was probably big enough to be a tree itself. Fell out of a tree close to our TVA substation over on Willow Street. It's probably been about 2 weeks ago, Brian. And this industry that I'm working with about the expansion and the jobs and the power reliability, they had an event, shut their production down, and they created a lot of scrap and had a lot of downtime. So they wasn't really happy that we had something, on a different really substation that they're fed off of, and it caused an outage. So in any of this conversation, there has to be a balance between what the utility needs, what the homeowners and property owners need and want, and then industries in the form of power reliability and power supply. Let me go through a couple other things. As I mentioned in one of the earlier articles, we have been tracking outages for probably about 20 years, and in the most current year, the top three categories of outages are wildlife at 46%, weather at 29%, and trees at 25%.
Made notes as our people have talked, and I've said we understand cutting, trimming, but not wholesale cutting when we couldn't see any reason for it. Now you may see a reason for it, but we couldn't. And that's what's caused the trouble, not just with us, but with the general public. Yeah.
This is an example of overhead. The maximum amount of energy that this station could possibly flow back into the substation is on these distribution lines right outside the station, within about a half a mile, and then it drops off, in somewhat of a not really exponentially, that's not the right word, but it drops off as you move further from the station. So we get sort of our antennas up when we're looking at things right around the station. But still, you don't want to have a tree fall in the substation. I mean, I can't imagine me going to my insurance company and say, sorry, I got a claim to submit. We had a tree fall in the substation. You had what? That's just sort of basic utility operations. So I understand that folks are upset. We want to work with the tree commission. We want to work with the BOE and try to get some trees planted there to replace these.